hear me? Yeah, there we go. Forgot to turn the mic on. I have a goal. I'm coming into the gym. Pinhole vision. I'm talking, I got the blinders on, and the only thing I can see, well, other than this robotic lawnmower. The guy's doing it like a remote control. That's kind of cool. But apart from that minor distraction, the only thing I can see is me completely thrashing my quads and hamstrings in not so destructive of a manner. These last few lifts, I've been going a little lighter weight-wise, just to kind of give myself a little, like, my version of a deload, in the sense that, like, you know, I'm still doing hard sets, like, you know, approaching failure, everything else, like, still bringing it, of course, but, you know, just not trying to curl the 80s or do push downs with, like, the stack plus 3 plates on the side. Just a little more squeezing. As I could tell, last week I was a little more on kind of a heavier kick, and sometimes when I have like a really crazy heavy chest day and a crazy leg day and like really heavy back days and really pulling stuff, I can tell sometimes I'll get little twinges. Nothing like major, but enough where I'm like, okay, that's my sign that I've probably been overdoing it, you know, overall kind of like tension sort of wise. So plan for legs. I don't know. I'm going to decide before I actually get started, but I'm torn between either just doing hamstrings completely, like finishing them off, laying curls, seated curls, Smith machine RDLs, and then moving on to quads, or doing kind of a back and forth of like 2 hamstring movements, 2 quad movements, or 2 quad sets, and then back and forth like that. Either one would work. I'll think about it. Give me a second to decide. Once I actually kind of get started and warm up, because regardless of what I start with, I almost always do the same thing. I just kind of bounce around the seated curl, the leg extension, some calf raises, just to get everything in the area kind of warmed up first, to get some blood flowing before actually, you know, laying on the laying curl and then doing half the stack, a little more, until I'm ready for a real working set. But in either case, this should not take too long. I'm talking probably finished or beginning to end of first to last working set, maybe an hour, 60 minutes ish. If I have if I'm a little more lengthy, I don't mind spending a bit more time on a leg day, just because, I mean, for one, since it's 2 pretty decently sized muscles, hamstrings and quads, legs is when I'm going to have rest periods a little bit, probably closer to maybe 3 minutes per set, you know, upwards of, you know, middle 2s ish, whereas something like chest or arms, you know, that'll kind of shorten down to just like a minute or so, just because they're not so you know, kind of oxygen demanding, as it were. But either way, let's jump in there, get started. Yeah, nothing else to say. Let's get in there. All right, I'm decided. All of hamstrings, followed by all of quads. So, one thing I really like about this stack is it's freaking heavy, right? I'm talking, like, for me to do 80 here, which is light enough that I can squeeze it, control it, really kind of burn. But, I mean, shit, I am certainly not you know, like, there's some stacks. I've seen some equipment, I mean, I forget the exact brand, and I wouldn't, like, name drop them just to dog on them. But, I mean, I've seen leg curls, like a seated leg curl, where something about the leverage, like, doing the stack single leg, totally feasible. Like, it's honestly just kind of stupid. So, I'm definitely a little bit more preferential towards machines that use their, you know, weight stacks very effectively. You know, because honestly, 80 pounds on anything else will not feel like this. But these first few are just going to be, I mean, I guess kind of really giving effort to every phase of the rep. Quick contraction. Like, I'm not going to, I think slow reps beyond a certain point, I don't know if I really see the benefit. But for the hold, I really want to hold and squeeze and just, like, even though I can't move my leg any further up in the rep, I still want to feel like I'm trying to pull extra for like that full second. And then a slow eccentric down to completely straight legs, which sometimes might feel like a lot, depending on how heavy you're going. Like if I'm doing a heavy set, I might not go completely straight-legged just because it'd be a little bit too much pressure on my hamstrings, or I guess too much tension. But with lighter weight, I mean, I want to go all the way down, sit in the stretch for a second, really kind of feel it, and then come back up and just repeat for as many as possible. So let's make this first one happen. There we go. Okay. Oh man. Whew. A few more just like that. Okay. Oh, crap. One more. Ooh, I gotta go a little lighter. Let's move on. Out of all options available, really just dumbbell, barbell, or Smith machine, Smith RDLs are my favorite. Just something about the fact you don't really have to balance. I can just totally feel like it's kind of a funky feeling to really contract your hamstrings in this sort of movement, because that's all I want to do. I want my lower back to be just tense enough to keep me braced. I don't want my glutes coming into play at all. All I want to feel is my hamstrings kind of get tight, and then once I start pulling up, feel them kind of pull in. So it's kind of just a trial and error thing. And I think lighter the better, frankly, because this is more of a squeezing stretch kind of movement anyway. So that's like, I know it's a weird comparison, but sometimes I would compare this to like an overhead tricep movement, because all I'm trying to do is really ride the stretch. It's not so crazy of a squeeze up top. Like I could squeeze, but it's not the same as like on a hamstring curl, so it's just a little different, right? But if you can't actually feel your hamstrings activating, for me at least, I like a pretty narrow foot stance. And honestly, sometimes even a little kind of, what would it be, like sort of reverse duck footed with my toes pointed in, because that kind of helps me get this feeling of like pulling my ankles together. And that just lets me kind of feel my hamstrings tighten up. But that's kind of a person by person sort of thing, I never like watched an RDL tutorial. I just kind of tried them until I could feel them. So that's all I got to say there. But this will be good. 2 plates is heavy enough. I forgot my straps though, which kind of sucks. Holy crap. Whew. Ugh. 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 Holy shit. Oh, okay. Let's just see the curl. I shouldn't have forgot my straps. Alright, this will probably be the last hamstring set. Heavier, not the whole stack. I think that might be a little much. This is a sense, or a little bit of a compulsion that you'll get, and that I'm sure a lot of you already have, where it's like, all right, you know, I'm already doing pull downs with 230. The stack only goes up to 260. What's 30 pounds? Going a little extra heavy. Whereas that 230 number was what you would have been comfortable with in the first place and would have been a good set. But it's like, you're just so close to the stack, you may as well bump it a little more, you know. And I think to a degree, that's not a bad thought, because it's like, okay, you're going to get a heavier set in. You're probably going to bring it a little harder, you're a little more amped. So I'm not saying it's like all bad, but you know, don't get caught doing that every time. If you know a certain number is like about right for how you're feeling in the workout, you know, if you're doing 275 and you're like, well, what's another 20 pounds on either side to make it 315? And that could be asking for trouble. That's all I'm saying. But one more good one here, and we can start quads. Okay. Holy crap. Okay, let's do some leg extensions. Alright. No quads. I was popping on the leg extension, kind of doing a couple sets. I can tell the right one is a little more tender than I would like. I think that last set of crazy heavy squats might have been a little too heavy. Not to the point that I'm like, you know, actually particularly worried per se, but that's I guess that's just a good counter for the last leg day, which is quads only, hamstrings only, a little more focused, and then back to a good balance come the next leg around. But I gotta admit something. Yesterday, a little bit of a hankering. Decided, you know what? It's been a while. Have not had 2 single cheeseburgers from McDonald's for quite a while, plus a large fry, and I haven't had that for a while. Like, it's been, like months since I had a McDonald's single, and I'm 97% sure it's making my stomach feel weird today, the day after. I'm getting a bit more used to just regular ass plain kind of rice and oatmeal and ground beef, which is good. It does make me feel better, but I don't know, I learned my lesson. But I'm planning now to go home, get some food in me, and then clean up. I got a lot of cleaning to do at the house. But apart from that, yeah, man, shit. There's another lift. So we're I'll see. But I was just having a talk with Mark yesterday when he was at the gym when we were doing forearms together, and I mean, I'm just like, he was talking how he wants to get some more freaking mass onto his frame, and I was looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, shit, man, we're getting close. Like, I know it's kind of a Sisyphus sort of thing to think about the working out, where it's like a never-ending cycle, and you know, everybody loves talking about, oh, you know, I'm never satisfied. You know, I mean, I've heard these kind of like motivational sort of videos said before, and they're kind of hyped up, so I know it's not like exactly what these guys are really thinking, but I mean, it'll come to the point where I'm hearing these guys who like totally look like freaking beasts, but they're putting themselves in a weird headspace because they're saying, like, you know, I'm always just looking for flaws that I can improve on. I'm always looking for the downside. I'm always looking for my weaknesses. And I get the logic. It's like a highly competitive, like I need everything to be perfect kind of idea, which, I mean, yeah, depending on the guy, but I think it's a little nitpicky, you know? Like there's a certain kind of back and forth of really anything, any kind of success, be it the working out, be it like, you know, any kind of job or career or whatever. Like this is something I'll hear like a lot of Hormozy kind of guys bring up. Not a lot, but like sometimes I'll hear them say this sort of thing where it's like, you know, if you spend your whole time or a whole portion of time just purely focusing on like improvement and not, you know, getting to enjoy what you've worked towards, then where's the balance, right? Because you're never going to get to enjoy it. It's like a dude who goes like investment banker style, and then he's working 20-hour or like, you know, crazy 80-hour weeks his whole, like into retirement, like 60, 70 years old, and then he says, okay, and let's say the guy has like freaking hundreds of millions of dollars, and he's like, all right, now I can relax. What do you just did it. Like your whole life just kind of passed you by. You know, you've got all this shit, but you don't get to enjoy it as much as you would have, right? But then, if you never lock in, then you never get to a point where you can look back and say, okay, I made some shit happen. So it's like this middle ground. And the idea of like, oh, you know, I look like shit. And it's like this kind of body dysmorphic approach of when you're looking at yourself in the mirror and like, oh man, my triceps aren't where I want them to be. You know, and it's a guy who's literally diced. And then he pokes at his stomach and goes, man, I'm so fucking fat. Like every pose he hits is nuts, but it's always just like turning it into just this negative. And the point of it is to like motivate himself. It's like, okay, you know, I want to work on this, so I'm going to highlight what I want to work on. But you know, when I see guys talk like that, it just kind of turns me off. You know, like I think you can work on yourself and like understand that the process of doing it is something to enjoy at the same time, you know, because it's not like your life isn't a problem to solve. It's like a thing to enjoy, and the process of improving it is just, you know, kind of a, you know, matter of course, you know. So all that's to say is, you know, don't look at maybe if you've got a bit too much body fat, or if you don't feel like you're big enough or as big as you want to be. I would say, and this is coming from, you know, me opinionated, I would say, you know, don't look at that as though it's like, oh man, I'm so fucking screwed or whatever. Like, just look at it as, you know, kind of more of a challenge, like more of an opportunity to improve. And if you've got that headspace, and I know it's not easy, like I couldn't even, you know, I can't put myself in the place of somebody who's like 300 pounds aiming for like a over 100 pound of body fat loss kind of transformation. I haven't lived it, right? But I could imagine it can get tiresome, you know. I mean, I lose maybe what, like 50, probably just like somewhere in the tens, like, you know, 11, 12, whatever kind of pounds of body fat in a few months. And, you know, that's pretty quick. That's not too tricky for me. But to do that basically on repeat for a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, however long it takes, yeah, man, I can see how that can get a bit freaking tiresome, you know. But that's where I just have to imagine you need to get in the headspace of like, all right, I'm making the progress that I want to make, and that's enough to kind of, you know, keep you satisfied to keep going in the moment, just knowing that what you're doing is working towards kind of your greater end goal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could not imagine someone coming in and having a good workout and just feeling good if their whole prep talk before coming in is just like the meanest. You would never say that to anybody else. So what makes you think that that's a good idea to, you know, kind of talk to yourself internally, you know? Like it's kind of a you're your own worst critic sort of situation. So I'm not saying that's like crazy prevalent with everyone, but if you ever catch yourself in that headspace, I would at least recommend a little bit of reflection of thinking, okay, should I really be talking like this? You know, so if that spoke to any of you guys specifically, then I'm sure you can kind of get what I'm getting after. But plan now, just get some food, freaking shower off, and get ready for something tomorrow. Whether chest ends up being a little heavier or maybe a bit more lighter squeezing, that is to be seen. But I guess we'll see tomorrow.